we're back.
What?
Welcome. It's so look at those happy faces. Welcome, Beth.
Hi.
And Daedalus Zool. I'm so happy to have you back on the show. We are going to dive into the books. We finished season 1, our episode by episode recap, rewatch. We had some amazing discussions. Jansen,
that was fun.
You stole the show, my friend. But it's time to get back in the books, and we want to get into our after the book series that we've been enjoying. We're going to speculate about the fourth age, and we're going to get into parenting. We're going to talk about everything parenting, and to join us, we have Beth and Daedalus, actual parents in real life. In fact, I think we have an entire panel of parents.
Yes, we do.
So what I'm hoping is that we just have a candid, real discussion about our feelings about parenting. And I also feel free, I just want to say, is this open, feel free to talk about your own lives and your own experiences as a parent, if it's relevant. I certainly am going to myself. I'm new to the game as being a parent, and I'm super excited to talk about it. But guys, parenting the fourth age. Let's start off with this question. Fins, Aelfin and Fins, do they have babies? Or are they hatched in eggs? Do the Fins have live?
That may be, they may be, one may be born and one may be hatched. You know, one look like snakes, one look like foxes. So, you know, it's very, very possible that one had a reptilian birth and the other had a fox-like birth.
Well, they're still babies, though. Whether they're mammalian, born like mammals, or like reptiles, they're still babies. And so I would think that they do, have their babies in one of those two ways, probably, and raise them up because they obviously have their own traditions and everything. So I would think so. They seem to be humanoid-ish.
That's true. They also seem to be extremely different from humans. And we already know what gets them drunk or high or whatever. So, with that being said, the way that they, multiply might be completely different as well.
That's my thought as well. Before I answer, I want to say thank you to MaTsDaGger. You are the best in the world, and all the yellow Aja vibes, everything going your way, my friend. Let's have a good weekend, end of your weekend.
Oh, and don't get me started on Tam. I told myself, don't make this all about Tam.
Obviously, the best father in the series.
Of all of humankind.
Yeah, we can just get that out there now. He's the Jordan, the Tom Brady, all the above.
Okay, so
I wonder. I don't think that the Aelfin, I think that they are immortal to a certain degree. I think that they just sit and wait and wait and wait. They go through ages and ages and ages. There are no reasons to multiply because
that could be definitely true, because you remember the one that Matt encountered when he was in Roidion. He set himself a very long time. I believe that. I think you're absolutely correct on that. I think they may be immortal, or at least live on a plane of existence that we don't.
I mean, and not to mention in Origins, didn't it talk about the Aelfin and the Aelfin being reminiscent of the Sheed? Like the Elven societies from the Gaelic. So if they're very much like that, then they are immortal. So that would really make sense for them not to necessarily procreate, or if they do at a very low rate, because if I remember correctly in my love of all things fantasy, that one of the big things is they have very low birth rates, don't they? So,
and they're all sociopaths, so
they really
go with that too.
Most of them have herpes, guys.
Definite Silence of the Lambs theme going on there with the Finn for sure.
Well, in ways, it's crazy. In ways, they're addicted to what people's memories and feelings and thoughts and all those things encounter. So they're willing to do anything to get that high. So I mean, and since they're almost like drug addict, unkillable assholes.
I kind of feel like if Matt had another go at him, he could have gotten a couple of them. Well, I would love to test whether or not they're actually unkillable.
Well, I think Matt might have actually killed some of them. He did have a power forged weapon when he was fighting them.
Well, okay, let me caveat that then. They will not die from natural causes.
Yeah.
They'll die from a sword in their belly.
Yeah. Because they were fearful of iron and fire.
Or a bad song. You bring in an instrument, they may die.
Mm-hmm.
They're Stairway, no.
Yeah, and along the line of if you have elves or fae, they're not unkillable either. So if you look back at that source, they're not unkillable either. They're super long lived. They just live and live and live, and they age so slowly that it's, it seems that they're completely immortal to us.
Right.
My new headcanon is that the reason why they just keep sitting there in the first encounter is that because they're just sitting on eggs. They're just hatching their they got babies. Like, hey, sorry, can't leave.
Well, I was interested in this topic because the difference between the third and fourth age is drastic. We have the third age in which male channelers were being actively exterminated from the land. We gather that there may or may not be a straight genetic correlation between channeling and not. But certainly eliminating half of the channeling population does not help your chances. With the fourth age now, we have male and female channelers back, baby. And we assume that we are going to, with Elaine's children as a for instance, or even perhaps Avienda's, that the babies can channel like right out the gate. Like they're magic babies.
Some of them can. Some of them are going to be able to. And I believe that like Rand's TAVERN nature had a lot to do with that probably. I don't think that's going to be the norm in the fourth age. Rand was the most powerful channeler that there was.
I like that, Dan. Like all the babies can channel. They're like suckling on the nip. And
well, no, because he's right. He is right about one thing. Remember, we saw in Avienda's visions that one of her progeny could.
All of them could. All four of them could channel.
They even keep hold of it the whole time.
They never release the source. Yep.
So they're going to be extremely powerful people of the entire age, like granted that they don't kill them, provided they don't kill themselves.
That brings a really interesting idea too, because basically the point at which someone starts channeling is the point at which they start slowing and becoming and not aging at the same rate as everyone else. So if they're channeling from infancy or from toddlerhood or from that means that, and if they are potentially stronger than anyone else, how long could they potentially live?
Well, I think they did at one point. Someone did put a cap on it. I believe I read that the strongest channeler would live 750 to 800 years. Apparently, that was like.
But that's just. I mean, yes, that's precedent. However,
things are always changing. You're right.
We got magic babies.
Yeah, we have magic babies. So, is it possible to go beyond that? Magic babies of a TAVERN.
Well, we know at least that in Logain's lifetime, that won't happen. We know that he is the most predominant channeler of the age from men's viewings.
Okay. Well, no. Oh, well. Okay. No.
I remember that
he wore a crown of glory, but I don't think that meant that he was the strongest channeler. That meant that he was going to be
not the strongest channeler. But she said, "Glory to come, such as no man has ever seen."
And that's because he
but
is
Glory
going
is
to be
different
the
than-
head of the Black Tower, and he.
Oh,
and
no,
if you
I just-
remember, yeah,
No, I just think that means he's going to be the most predominant channeler of at least.
What do you mean by predominant? Like the most famous, most like
famous? I mean, it says glory, so glory can come in a lot of ways, but usually they're in achievements, like so.
Well, remember when he wanted to go and get the Sangreal that Mazrim Taim was holding when Elaine killed him.
Yes, Sarkona.
That was his goal, right? Vengeance. That's gonna get me the power I deserve because I'm gonna have an object of power.
That was also
and
effect partially of his madness too. Though.
Correct. And then the people in the people who needed help, the townsfolk who were basically being slaughtered, right? He went and rescued all of those normal people. And then the mother who had a toddler was like, thank you so much. I'm going to send my child to you for testing when he is old enough. That's the glory that Logain is going to be known for, is that he is bringing a sense of there's no longer damnation and condemnation with being a man who can channel because of what Logain did and what he represented. I think that's what I got from it.
I can see that too. Him being in charge of the Black Tower, probably one of the most two significant places on Earth for the next
absolutely.
This totally might be a topic for another discussion.
Sorry,
No, which I mark it down, Jansen, because honest to God, I never even thought about this. What challenges need to be overcome besides the Shanchan?
Oh yeah, there's a
right, for there to be glory, it almost seems it has to involve the Shanchan, which is a fascinating discussion. But let's not jump into that fully right now. I really the impetus of this whole show idea came from Brandon Sanderson's interview, and he was asked what his headcanon is regarding post-book Rand, and he said that Robert Jordan's main goal for Rand, his hope for Rand, was that Rand could have some peace. Brandon Sanderson then took that to mean that Rand is literally going to be hanging out in a cave, raising his kids in real time, and just kind of dispensing wisdom to various people as needed, but very little, and he's just gonna be enjoying his life being a father. And Dan and I are like, no.
I think it's impossible.
Okay, so let's get into it. I want to hear Dana and Beth's thoughts as we'll get in our thoughts. We've been discussing this on text and stuff. But yeah, I have problems with that idea. I feel that's a little pie in the sky. We have a demigod, but I think let's get into some groundwork before we get to discuss this. What can Rand do? And I think that really affects whether or not we're going to be able to assess him as a father. Can he see the future?
I don't know if he can see the future, but I believe he can see the past.
Ooh, interesting. Oh, but then if it's cyclical, okay. Okay, Beth, do you think Rand can see the future, or even as a dreamer? Can he use dreaming abilities?
Well, he's not a dreamer. Rand's not a dreamer. He never
had
that talent.
He knows how to use.
He knows how to use it. But the thing is, though, that I don't think that's the relevant question. I think the relevant question is, does Rand want to know? And I personally think he would not want to know. He would want to live as normal a life as he could. Yes. And that there's still going to be
Two Rivers man.
I think there's still going to be a few people who figure out that he's not dead. You have those Easter eggs dropped. Cadsuane knows he's not dead. Nynaeve is going to find out he's not dead.
Aaron will find out from the world of dreams eventually.
Or something, right? Yeah. So the question is, Rand knows what it's like to have absolute power. And I don't think Rand's ever going to want to have absolute power again. And I think his time is past. And I think he is going to be willing to live in relative obscurity, seeing the rewards of the things he tried to put in action before the last battle happened. So I really do think Rand is probably going to want to just be a dad to his kids and an off-the-record counselor
let me ask
people
you
who
this.
might know about him.
All right, let me ask you this about that exact same subject. Okay, so is he going to be that guy taking care of all these kids who can channel? Because just like we said in prematurity, how strong these kids are going to be, you know, remember they've said multiple times that when you...
They don't know his father. They don't know their father. I think his interactions with him are going to be minimal. Okay, because if you think back to when Aviendha was when she was in that sequence with her descendants, they never knew him. Their recollections don't reference Rand directly. It just talks about...
They don't.
So I don't think Rand is going to have a very big interaction with any of his children.
So he doesn't, if that's true, because all of his kids are going to come in predominance as soon as they start channeling. I mean, they're going to be the biggest leaders of their people. They're going to, I mean, everything like that's going to happen. We've seen it, you know, so.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there's a lot of questions about if Aviendha's visions are remotely true, right? You know, she has 4 children with Rand. Elaine, you know, at least has the twins that she's already pregnant with by Rand.
We have no idea if Min's pregnant or not.
Right. So the question is, I think one of the bigger questions is channelers live for hundreds of years, right? And in those visions, when Aviendha was in the thing about her children and her grandchildren, Aviendha's not there and Elaine's not there. They're not even mentioned. So they either abdicated the throne to go live in obscurity with Rand, or
which is a very good way of thing that they might have done.
Well, I have a different theory, but anyway,
I can see Elaine.
We don't need to get into that now, but. Anyway, I do think that these children are going to largely be left to their devices to live their lives the way they feel fit, because Rand doesn't want to be... He wants his memory to be won by setting up the universities, by all the things that he did to try to make the world as right as it could be after he destroyed as much of it as he did. So I don't think he is going to want his kids to be remembered as the children of the Dragon Reborn. I think he's going to endorse them making their own names in the world, living their own lives, making their own decisions. That's
you think he goes and lives with Tam?
No. Mm-mm. I think, honestly, I think Aviendha and Elaine are going to have romantic interludes with Rand, but I think Min is his lifetime companion. I think he and Min...
Really?
Yep.
All right, before we jump, we're getting way ahead. I want to hear Danilu. What do you think Rand's involvement will be in parenting itself?
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to say I think that Rand's abilities would allow him to see tendencies in the pattern because he can read the pattern, but that he's not going to want to influence the pattern.
Yeah.
He wants to be away from that. He wants to not do that. Who knows if he'll be able to resist, like, you know, guiding his kids away from certain things or not. You know, who knows as a parent if he would, you know, if he sees like huge pitfalls, if he's going to be, you know, like as any good parent would, kind of try to guide your kids away from huge pitfall kinds of things. Now, one thing that Brandon said at the 10th anniversary of Memory of Light was that as soon as Aviendha made one change based on that future presentation, that future presentation is no longer valid.
Yep.
Not saying that nothing,
that's
not saying that nothing it will not come to pass, but that everything is up for grabs to be different because she made a change.
That is, and that the interest of that is that it is not prophecy. It was, we can't consider what she saw to be prophecy. And I don't think that we have any prophecies that were made in the Third Age referring to the Fourth Age. I don't remember it.
I don't know any. I'm not.
I think we do. Yes, we do.
series. I'm not very
Caesar.
Okay.
I remember a couple. Don't you remember when Catswin and Sorelia grilled men? And all those things that happened in the past. They were like, how can we've already won? We already know we've won. How from what this girl has said. So men saw the fourth age, definitely.
Jesus.
Okay. Yeah. And so I think men's viewings are, we would assume, to be as rock steady as they have always been. While the Terrio.
And see, notice Min never said anything about her own future. I personally think she flees the Shanshin with an illegitimate child who's uncannily lucky.
Oh shit!
I would love that.
That's what I think's gonna happen.
That's a hot, juicy take.
It's a well-hung baby. All right.
Nice.
So we had actually. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
But I never got to say what I thought about Rand and Parenthood, other than
please go ahead.
A little bit of guiding. I took what Brandon said to heart and tried to think as far as him being involved in the kids' lives, and tried to think of logistically what that might mean if, let's say, Elaine and Avienda have a boyfriend who acts as a father figure. Maybe the kids don't know this is their father, right? So maybe he is a father figure to them, and then maybe they get to spend some time, and maybe he's like an itinerant kind of person who hires himself out to Tam, and Tam's just sort of like takes him in because he doesn't have Rand anymore, and then the kids get to go spend some time, like summers or whatever, like on the ranch. I mean, on the farm with him and Tam, and other times, Rand gets to go spend time at the universities and those kinds of things, and that maybe he gets to be a like stepfather type figure, and that it's never known by anyone, including the children, that he is their actual father. But I would love the idea of maybe men, having an open relationship with him, becoming pregnant by him in Moradin's body, and that child knowing eventually that this is their father.
Definitely possible too.
I would love that. I think that would
I think that Avienda doesn't become pregnant with Rand's children until after he's in Moradin's body.
Ooh. Okay.
Because if you remember, Min, when they met, when they were bonding him together, the three bonded them together, she said, you're going to have 4 children. There's something strange about it.
All at once, but guess what? But what if this happened? What if she's pregnant with 2 now and gets pregnant with 2 more in like a week?
Oh, what? They don't stack.
She said there was something odd about all of them.
I think the thing that's odd is that it's Rand in Moradin's body. That's my opinion. Like, there's Rand.
Because remember, Avienda's like, when she went and she saw her visions, they even said all of them were completely different looking. All 4. They were all completely different looking.
That's so crazy.
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay. Speculations abound.
Sorry.
Hey, that's for another show, right, Dan?
Yeah, write that down though. Jeez,
I have so many thoughts. I'm so
many thoughts. No, I think that Rand is going to be much too preoccupied. He is in Ryan and I believe that he's kind of hit more demigod status. He is not a normal dude by any stretch. Yeah, and even if he was, aren't these kids going to be famous? Aren't they going to? All of them will be famous. So this weird dude who used to look like Morden's coming around taking him to Dave & Buster's. That's not going to be noticed.
Dude, every single one of their moms are already famous in their own right. So it's like
Morden.
But did anybody know who Moradin was outside of the Forsaken?
No, nobody knew who Moradin was.
Nobody knew who he was.
Oh. Yeah, he was like at least like.
Well, there's some family apparently, in the Borderlands missing.
Dark Friends would.
But he's not like. He's not one of the Forsaken who went and got a place in a country and made himself a face.
Nope.
So he was always in the background moving and shaking without being involved with the populace. So I don't think anybody's going to recognize Rand from that.
I think it's very possible that Moradin came from the same family as Erengar. I think maybe they were even brother and sister.
Oh, you mean like the original?
The actual original people.
When they body swapped?
They got taken at around the same time, you know? Like, I think that
Possible.
they're both pretty damn good looking. So,
Totes hot.
yeah,
Totes
so
hot.
I guarantee.
Oh no, Forsaken Hubs.
So that is the other thing, is that they are going to be famous kids. They are children. They are the Nepo babies.
Wait,
Yeah,
is there a way is there a way that is not public knowledge? Can they hide that?
They don't.
No, I mean, nepotism runs more wild in Randland than it does in ours.
What do you mean they don't? I'm sorry. What do you mean they don't, Beth?
Well, I mean, again, going back to Avienda's visions, all 4 of the kids knew that they were the children of the Dragon Reborn. Everybody knew they were children because if you remember the daughter, I can't remember what her name was in the
Paris.
When she changed the name.
When they changed the name, she was talking to Ruark's son, who she was developing some feelings for, even though he was like 10 years older than her. And she asked, what do you remember of my father? So it's public knowledge, at least among the Aiel, that Rand is their father. And Elaine announces to the entire Andoran army that she's pregnant with the Dragon Reborn son as a rallying cry, or with her children as a rallying cry to rally the troops during the final battle. So there's no secrets. Everybody knows who their parents are.
That's a good point. I wanted to go back on you on the Avienda point, reminding you that you even said that one decision can change everything.
Absolutely. But I think the basis of it though is going to be the same. They're going to know who they're.
No, I actually think that Avienda's all of her visions are going to come true. I just think that those Aiel are the Shido. Now, there's a lot of like different script in the text that actually support that. I think the Shido are going back and they're going to, when their year and a day is up with the Shanshan, they're all going to run, and then they're going to do the same thing against the Shido Aiel. The Empress is going to say, "I want them all dead. I want if 3 of them are together, kill them all." Like, I think that's still the same thing. I just think now she saved another remnant of the Aiel, and the ones that she got that followed the Karakarn, like they said before, are going to live, and the ones that didn't are going to die. I think that's all the Shido.
Yeah, unless those Matt Outrigger novels ever show up. And
can you think of a more fitting end? I can't think of a more fitting end for the Shido. Everybody always gets their comeuppance in Robert Jordan's stuff. So I think that's the perfect ending to the Aiel. To end as the most, the worst, most shamed people they could possibly be.
Yeah, that's horrible. You have a horrible soul, Chance. I'm just kidding. It's horrifying.
Thorava was a bitch.
He was terrifying, honestly.
Terrifying, yeah. I mean, scared the hell out of me when I read that shit. I was like, damn.
So I'll just toss a couple of suggestions out. You can add your own, but we have Lan and Nynaeve, potentially. We have Elaine. We have Min, potentially. We have Avienda. We have Perrin and Faile. We have Matt and Tuon. Who would actually be good parents to their kids of this group?
Well, it depends on the standards you're looking for and where they live. Because the Shanshan have a very, very different ideal of children than, say,
as do the Aiel. As do the 2 rivers. Correct. Yeah. Yes.
We're bringing Malkier into it now with Lan and Nynaeve. We have Aldayans. We have that culture mixed with the 2 rivers. And how might that come out with Perrin and Faile? I mean, there's a lot going on there.
I think Perrin and Faile's kids would be the most well-rounded.
Agree, 100%.
Yeah.
To actually be Andorans, but that didn't play the game of houses. You know, to have both.
Yeah.
Faile's going to teach them how to play the game of houses.
Of course she would.
100%.
Faile's weird though, guys.
I think Faile would be the best mom.
Faile's going to be the best mom. I think Faile is going to be the best mom. Because if you look, at the
has the best
Saldaean culture,
and Perrin will be the worst dad.
What's going to stop? No, I think Faile would turn into Kris Kardashian. They live in a mansion. They're the Lord and Lady. Yeah. Oh yeah. Her kids are going to be like. My
cousin
Courtney's going to be the wisdom.
Like her cousin definitely was. So
I think
I could see, you know, like the queen of Saldaea and Barrelane on their own TV show. You know?
Oh, geez.
But I think that Faile was willing to go out and live rough and do rough things. And so I think she appreciates that part of Perrin as well. And I think she's going to help blend the best of the Two Rivers and the savviness of court. I think she's going to teach her kids to be able to be leaders, and have respect for their parents as well, because obviously, you know, I might not agree with everything about the Saldaean culture and the relationships that it builds. However, the parent-child relationship that she has is a solid one.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Father and her mother.
Well,
and
the whole sense of family too. They stay together no matter what.
Yeah,
like,
they travel together.
They travel together. They do everything.
Well, didn't she run away and change her name?
She was being a rebellious child, but if you remember, again, if you remember,
she went through a goth period. I understand.
And I know a lot of people hate on Faile and her points of view in the books, but if you really pay attention to Faile's growth, she's 17 when we meet her, right? We also forget about how young these people are when all this stuff is going down, right? True. If you look at her growth as a person, as a wife, as a leader, over that 1.5 year long time period that we know her, it's tremendous. And does she have her faults? Absolutely. Is she stubborn? Absolutely. I like that though. That's me. But I think that she has so much to offer. The respect that she has as an adult for her mother and her father, and the respect that she has for Perrin. Even if she didn't do the right thing, she always, everything she did, she had the desire to set Perrin up to be the man she knew he could be. She constantly challenged him to become more. And I think she would do the same thing with her children. I think
to that point, Beth, I think that her kids would apply to, she would want her kids to go to Stanford. They would apply to Stanford. They'd apply to Michigan State. They'd apply to Notre Dame. They'd apply to Duke. And she would rip up all the acceptance letters except for Stanford. Guess what, kids? You're going to Stanford. Sure. Good try. And her kids would go to Stanford whether they wanted to or not.
Faile would be arrested in the college admission scam.
Yeah. Hey, take a picture rowing, would you?
That's hilarious.
Hey.
You're on the lacrosse team. Trust me, it's with a ball and a stick.
And she'd be pissed that Barrelane got her into it.
So, but I do agree that Perrin and Faile would probably produce the most well-adjusted kids, I would say.
Yep.
I agree. I definitely agree. I think the most hated children would be Galad and Barrelane's.
Oh, no way. No way. Galad and Barrelane are giving away the big candy bars on Halloween. They decorate their house so great for Christmas. They are, they're the best neighbors you could find, I would think.
Oh, yeah, they have the most bodies buried under the floorboards, man.
Oh, they're great. Galad will totally help you move that TV. No problem, bro.
He'll do
Well, he can't. He only has one arm. I mean, he could.
Lad would find a way.
Much hard.
Okay.
Beth, hey, wait, he's handy abled, okay? He has one arm. There is no only.
Don't let a hand.
But you know what? I think Fairlane and Galad's children will actually end up being okay, because think about Galad's growth.
Yeah.
When he turned,
I like Galad.
I do too. He used to live a life of absolutes, and then after he met Perrin, he realized that not everything is what it looks like. Not everything you can't judge something in black and white. There's a heck of a lot of gray in the world, and I think that life experience, plus Berelane's political savvy and her sheer tenacity to stand up for what she believes in, actually are pretty good foundational parenting things that they can pass on to their kids, as long as their kids don't look at themselves in the mirror and say, oh, we're so pretty, because they're going to be drop dead gorgeous. That's going to be the Kardashians, if anything. Is Berelane's household is going to be the Kardashians. Just saying. So
yeah, keeping them grounded might be a little bit. I think Galad actually would help with that. About like, hey, this is a slap of reality for you, kiddo. I also think people don't give Berelane enough credit for being as
I like her character too. I think
I don't think they give her
Galad's baby would be trying to
all
feed
the crap
himself
she put with Perrin. I don't think they give her enough credit for how politically savvy she is, and how like what a great manager she is. And I think as far as like education goes, they will be amongst the most educated.
The wise ones knew.
The kids.
Yeah, the wise ones respected her greatly.
Yeah. And I could actually see her like keeping that relationship going with the wise ones, and especially now that more Aiel living in the west.
Well, there'd be Aiel stationed in Mayene too.
Right.
I bet there would be. I bet.
I could see her saying, okay, you need to go spend some time studying with the wise one, the Aiel, to train you up in battle, to train you up in whatever way. It's like you have to go spend a year or two with them.
It's a good chance their kids could channel too.
Yeah, they might be channelers, because we know that Galad is like a secret channeler. Like he has the potential, he just never realized it. Like he is.
I think Matt probably could too, but there's no way in hell. Dude, the old blood sings, man.
No.
He very well could, because Tuon could.
But his sister Bode could.
Yeah, Bode, she's going to be a powerful channeler.
Powerful.
Yep. And I think the younger sister as well, but she was too young to take.
Right.
With them when Varen grabbed up.
For all we know, Natty Coffin could channel too. Like we heard that some older people could in the Two Rivers, but they wouldn't let them. Now that they know that they're accepting everybody, they'll be on their way there as well.
Possibly.
So we're assuming that the White Tower and the Black Tower are still going to coexist, yes?
Yes, we know that from
one will be for the male, one will be for the females. It'll be like Hogwarts, but not co-ed.
And Andral and Pavara are going to be respective emissaries for each.
Yeah.
That's how they get to stay together.
Okay.
Pavara is going to be the White Tower's emissary to the Black Tower, and Andral is going to be Pavara, or the Black Tower's emissary to the White Tower, and they're going to have their own children, and it's going to be beautiful. And they're going to be the best babies of all the babies, because Andral and Pavara.
Way to Pavara's soul.
Based on these, go ahead.
I'm here for that. Now, in talking about like children of channelers who become channelers, and you always have the issue with, you have maybe one of the reasons potentially that Aes Sedai are traditionally don't have children is because they don't want to outlive their progeny and their progeny's progeny. That's kind of painful. So
and
that
their spouses.
Their spouses, whatever. So when you have people who both channelers who are going to be long lived, at least they're more likely to Bella!
Let's just do a live Bella, right?
Beautiful singing voice.
So, there, you have maybe now that you have more, male channelers who are not going crazy, you have more potential of having channelers hooking up with other channelers and more willing to have children, and that bolstering the number of channelers in the world because of the genetic factor.
Well, remember what Talon said, like it's very, very it goes from family member to family member apparently in the sea folk. Talon said her mom and her grandmother both had it, and they were both some of the strongest channelers the sea folk had, all three of them. So
and she was even stronger than Nynaeve. Talon was. So that's
So I think you're going to see more willingness of Aes Sedai, the younger ones coming up, to have children of their own, and that brings another aspect of parenthood because you have a long relationship with your children who some will be long-lived, some won't be, and I think there are potentials for, like, you have that nepotism thing going on there, which they're going to have to sort of combat against. And eventually I would like to touch on the long-lived children of channeling children of Elaine and what that means for Andor.
Right. Oh, it's all right. Let's address that in just a second. So I would
like to address eventually.
Right. Okay. Let me address your first point. So we are going to have a maybe not instant baby magic, but maybe toddlers will become able to be, you'll be able to detect earlier. So with the White Tower and the Black Tower being their collective headquarters per se, are we going to have, say, like Montessori satellite channeling daycares or schools? And if so, what the heck does that look like? Do you have like little channelers, like suddenly just someone catches on fire and you're like, no, Johnny, hey, no,
I don't think all of the children born are going to have that ability to channel from a very early age. I think that was specific to Rand's children. I don't think that's going to become a common occurrence because even I don't think that was the way it was in the Age of Legends. People came into it and that was extreme because
this is fourth age. Fourth age, everything's on the table, and this is the example we have. We could say it was a one-off, but I choose to think that this might become the norm.
Okay.
Well, we do have evidence that there is a nursery in Rhuidean, at least in one of Rand's visions in Memory of Light. We saw that Avienda liked to go to Rhuidean to play with the children, and either that was hers or there was a nursery there where people like to go and take care of them. Remember that you can go anywhere with channelers, so they can have doorways, and that's one of the things. We talked about this months and months ago about my version or vision of the Black Tower would be one cube, but when you walk in, there's just gateways everywhere where you could go to all these different places from the Black Tower.
God, I'm having like a World of Warcraft vision.
Yeah, I mean,
all the gateways from WoW.
That's the thing. I think the Black Tower is going to be more open and out and have different places all over the world, unlike the White Tower. I think they're going to be more involved with people and their kids as well. I think so. I do. I think that the Black Tower will be more involved with, families, nurseries, doctors, things like that. I think that when you take your kid to the doctor, I believe you're going to go take him to an ashram, not the White Tower. I think that there's going to be, society dedicated to the memory of Damar Flynn.
Ooh, okay. No,
Love
do you
it.
think? How about an era of cooperation, which is I think we all are hoping for? Do you think that's not going to happen? Like what we saw in Age of Legends from Rand's vision in Radion is that there was like a lot of cooperation happening.
I believe
There was
it'll
only
have
one
to
tower
happen.
too.
Yeah, I believe that it'll have to happen, but I also believe that both entities will keep their independence, and it will not be like the Age of Legends where they were merged. At some point, you never know, it could happen, but I don't think in the Fourth Age it will. And that could be what ends the Fourth Age and starts the Fifth. You never know. But
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going to. I don't think Logain would have the mental capacity or even the patience to deal with Katsuin together. I don't see that, especially since she already caught him once. Like, I don't think that would be
Who does? That's funny.
good thing.
I earlier pictured when we were talking gateways, I remembered the movie A Christmas Story. And I pictured a third grade class where they're like, "Where's Rand's kid?" And a little girl points, and there's the gateway. And although they're in the blight, she peeks through the gateway, and there in the snow is she stuck with her tongue on the pole. Like, don't leave. And then she's like, "Oh no!" Had to go through the gateway
Flopping
to go get her
around.
Yeah. Tongue stuck, and it's nowhere near snow because they're in the middle of the blight or the waste. It's like, oh. Where's the snow?
I triple dog dare you.
Oh. Stuck.
I triple Mahale dare you.
And he's like, don't leave him. They're like, but the bell rang. Sorry. Bell rang.
I gotta go with the bells.
It would be harder to keep authority over kids that could channel, though. I think parenting would be a challenge.
It would, but going into something like that, and like you said, we are all parents here. I have an 18-year-old with some disabilities, and I also have an 8-year-old. And no matter how powerful or how whatever your kids are, you're still going to care about them and worry about them in whatever situations that they're going to be in. And these kids would probably be in some very detrimental ones, knowing what they can do, seeing that they're walking nuclear bombs. I mean,
but do you think since there's probably going to be a pretty large influx of especially boys who can channel, right? Because that's always been, they've never had to deal with it, right? It's always been, once it's been discovered, you're either gentled or you're killed, right? Depending on the culture you're in. Do you think they're going to set up something similar to like what the Jedi did in Star Wars, where they find them from an early age and then they take them away into the Jedi temple?
I think that it's going to be homogenized into different cultures, because we already know that no woman that ever channeled in the Aiel was ever lost,
and the sea folk as well, right?
And the sea folk as well. So I believe that those cultures are going to be already to do that and find
and the Shan-Chan too in their own way.
And I believe they're going to as well once and they already have a male IDOM ready. The problem is, domination ban also is probably, if they start using that is probably what is going to be the downfall of the Shan-Chan.
But the problem with the domination band is that it's got to be used by 2 women who can channel.
Well, no, can use it. One can use it, but it will. But if 2 use it, the drawbacks won't happen as fast.
But they have to have the ability to channel to use it. So that means that you would have to have an uncollared Damane.
That's true.
Wielding it. Unless you could double, like a Damane would be collared, a Sul'dam would have the Damane.
Well, Sul'dam can channel too.
Yes, but...
But if they admit that,
not until they access, until they can. So the question is, could a Sul'dam wear it because they can access the power?
I mean, we know what's going to happen.
That's an unanswered question.
I mean,
right?
we know what's going to happen there with the Shan-Chan. It's never going to be able to last. They're too close to the proximity of people living well and good and fine without being slaves, and we know what's going to happen there. It's going to turn on them.
Absolutely, 100%. Hopefully, anyway.
Well, and they are based on a manifest destiny type mantra. Their motto is they are Artar Hawkwing's people, and it is prophesized that we're coming back and taking this bitch by hook or by crook. And so in their twisted way, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, in their own way, you're right. But they do believe in slavery, and it will be their downfall.
As it shall, as it should.
It will be their downfall.
Well, and that's an interesting. It would have been an interesting plot point if Tuon got pregnant.
She did.
If she did.
Well, I mean, no, through the Shanshan's eyes, whether Tuon and her child and stuff were still abominations that needed to be collared and all that. You know, whether they changed the country's mind or the country did not accept it and tried to collar these two women. You know, I don't know.
Well, they are living in a place now where the view of people who channel is tempered from their view in Shandar, because half of the population that they're ruling is from here or from, you know, a place where people could channel. And with the exception of, you know, Amadicia, you know, who all have a jaundiced view of anybody who can channel because of those were the laws for so long. Everywhere else, you know, they're like, well, Asadar here or there. They don't really know if they should be collared or not or whatever. I'm a little upset with Beslan still for allowing it, but you know, it will be their downfall. And I think that it's very possible that between Min and Matt, they could, between themselves, could change the whole thing. You know, like they're both very, very savvy at stuff like that.
I think that is the Outrigger novel. Matt's is the Outrigger novel that I most wish I could have, just for knowing what happens with the Shanshan.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
that is
we would like
thing we have at the end of the Third Age is Shanshan and slavery and Matt and what happens there. I've heard many first-time readers say if you know the slavery is not ended with, you know, with Tuon, and then by the end I will be so mad I'll burn the books. You know, like people say, and I'm just thinking, I think Robert Jordan knew he was going to do something with that after the last battle, and we'll never get that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many other things too. Like, did you ever consider that the making of Fort Root is going to be like refined? They'll be able to have like arrowheads that like hit people and they can't channel, you know, or, you know, pills that they give people to not be able to channel anymore. They're going to get more refined. They have factories now, you know. They it's the Shanshan. They're going to do whatever they can to have power over people who can have the power.
You know, with the show, I still think that I'm curious to see how they tackle this issue with the Shanshan being incredibly horrible people based on their views on ownership of people who can channel and their treatment of them, and also the fact that one of our beloved heroes, Matt, marries Tuon.
Yeah.
They have to make this. It's going to be hard to make it sympathetic without seeing Tuon doing her pensive looks and whispers, and without if you don't have that character growth, it's going to be hard to do. I don't
see Tuon releasing the Damani.
No,
they're her only source of power.
Mm-hmm.
Without them, she's literally nothing. Like, unless she learns how to channel herself. Like, she has, like, the Shanshan they're literally like, I mean, you have to look at them like the Deep South. As soon as you take away their free labor, the poorest states in the Union, you know?
I mean, don't forget this. It wasn't just channelers that were slaves to Shanshan. They have a systemic, of generational slavery. Right? Of like people there are some people who are slaves. It's almost like the the ancient Egyptians.
You're like generational slaves. Like,
right?
yeah,
it's
like
you can
there's
have
no other way. Yeah.
Right. And slaves could
Right.
have great power, right? You could have people who were over an entire households, who ran practical administrations within government, but they were still slaves.
They're no better than the Sharans. I mean, they're just as bad as the Sharans.
And I would like to hope that Matt has some sort hi Skeeter, that Matt would have some sort of impact on Tuon. But
that's why I think him and Min might have an affair.
I don't think him, because Min's
they're gonna have an affair.
Min's a simp for Rand. Min would never have an affair with Matt. She never would. But I do think that if anybody is going to have an impact on Tuon, even more so than Matt, it's going to be Min. Because I don't see Min giving up that post. I think that's going to actually be something Rand asks her to do, is because, like, stay with the Seanchan. They're the wild card here.
It would chase her down forever. I mean, it would never.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they're like, the Seanchan's the wild card. Shara's in disarray. We really don't need to worry about them, but Seanchan still has a bunch of power. Use your influence for your abilities with Tuon. And between Min and Matt, maybe Tuon will come to see, especially because I don't think they have more than one child. I don't think Matt and Tuon have more than one child. So that in itself changes the entire way that the Seanchan Empire has ever, because the kids basically were like trying to murk each other, right? Like, like the survival of the fittest. We're going to foster this environment of whoever is the wiliest, the smartest, the craftiest is going to be the next ruler. So if they only ever have one child, Tuon's going to put all her eggs in that basket. And if that child is a channeler, which is likely, right? At least might not have the spark, but would possibly be able to learn. And then wants to learn. Maybe
I think Matt and Tuon might have like 15 kids.
I don't think so. I think it's
as much as Matt likes to get down.
Doesn't matter. Because I like to get down doesn't mean she's going to get pregnant.
So you don't think in all the time Matt likes to get down, he's going to ever slip another past the goalie?
Like, they only have sex when they want me to say to have sex.
But the thing is that there is birth control.
Like, there is birth control.
There is
the T. I know the T.
That is in the woman's ability to plan for. So
I don't know. I think
personally don't think there's going to be more than one child, and I think that Tuon is going to go to any length possible to protect that child. And if that child can channel, that means she might let it all come crashing down. I don't know if that's true to Tuon in the books, but I would like to think that between Min and
I think
Matt's
people
influence,
people want Tuon to be good, but she's not.
Tuon's not bad. Tuon is a product of her upbringing.
Yeah, but the Seanchan are bad.
They're bad. Okay, but this is the thing, and this is going to be a very controversial take.
I mean,
and I might get a lot of shit for saying this. I might get a ton of shit for saying this. Okay, but the Seanchan society is based on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of doctrine. You cannot change that society overnight. It takes one person to start a change. And the fact that they were already working with people it's the beginning of change. Change takes time. You can't break down those walls overnight. And I think that Tuon is just, I think she's one of the most misunderstood characters in the entire series. I'm not saying she's amazing by any means, okay? Because she's definitely flawed. But she has a set moral value. She has loyalty to her people.
Yes, she does.
And she acknowledges the faults in her kingdom. I just think that it's just a shame that Robert Jordan died when he did, because I think there's so much more story that could be told. And again,
it sounds like you're pro that the Aiel future that Aviendha saw would have been completely different, right?
I would like in my headcanon the change of adding the Aiel as the peacekeepers changes the fate of the Aiel that we saw. And maybe what Jansen said is right. Like some of when the people who are like, if you don't embrace Rodion, you're going to, like in the past, you're not all going to survive, a remnant of a remnant. So maybe like what Jansen said, the Shido are the ones who get withered out by the Shantian. They're not subject to the Dragon's Peace.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that the Shido are not subject to the Dragon's Peace.
No, you're right. But do you remember what Tylee Kirgan said to Perrin after the battle to get Faile back to rescue Faile? She said the Shido make wonderful Dakovail. They're meek immediately. And then Perrin's point of view even says to himself, I wonder what they're going to say in a year and a day when they throw those down. So I believe that when Aviendha was in her vision, I think, and she even says in her vision that the Empress decreed, on Aiel to be eradicated. And I think that it's going to be the Shido Aiel who are going to be eradicated. I mean, it makes perfect sense.
No. All right. Well, we getting back to parenting, we assume then that if the Shantian accept male channelers, it's not going to be for a while still, right? I mean,
their change is not going to happen because remember they were still collecting Zamani at the end of the last battle. That's what happened to Moghedien, right? She was collared at the end of the last
everyone
battle.
On the mainland seems to be probably more enlightened.
100%.
I would hope. So let's go through a couple cultures and see how they would parent or deal with male channelers. And I'll start with the Aiel. The Aiel used to deal with men who could channel were sent off to go stab Sightblinder in his face or something. They just went off to die in the woods. And then they ended up filing their teeth down into cool shark mouths. Yeah. But how do you think, Dana, how do you think the Aiel are going to adapt in the Fourth Age to dealing with raising men channelers, and not only as boys, but also within their society?
I think they're going to send them directly to the Black Tower because we already saw some Aiel at the Black Tower. I think they're going to go directly there.
Well, what if we do initially have some go to the Black Tower and then come back and be wise men? In a sense that they work with the wise women, and that from that point on, you have the choice of sending your children, your male channelers, to Aiel who are living as channelers amongst the Aiel, or those who are at the Black Tower. Like, you have a choice. And
I don't see the Aiel having wise men. I think they have wise women and clan chiefs, so I don't see them having wise men. I really think they're going to go to the Black Tower.
And that's possible. That's entirely possible. Yeah. However, I think that some of them are going to want to come back to the Aiel people.
No, I believe that too, because you're talking are going to come to the wise women, the wise ones, to learn how to dreamwalk. I mean, I think Gaul may even be included in that somehow if he gets a Terrio where he can go. He already has experience, and he's learned from Perrin, who's one of the best dreamwalkers. So I think that they may learn some. I think that they may teach some in the Eden. I believe it was the third book that it's very rare, but some men can have dreamwalk. They've said it.
Okay. Well, let's move down to Andor. I think it was either you, Beth, or you, Dana, who had mentioned that that there were going to be some interesting implications in regard to, especially Andor, not only because of Aviendha, but also because perhaps of Perrin and Faile. I'm not sure, but what how do you think they, as a society, will deal with, I guess, Rand's children, and male channelers in general?
Well, Rand's children are also the blood of Tigraine and Elaine's. The Trekken line. So they've got more right to rule Andor, I believe, than anybody else going by the rules.
Yeah, Daly, go on.
I think there's a strong tradition in Andor of sending your channeling children, or in even the non-channeling ones, to be trained with the White Tower. So I think you are going to see a respect for the Black Tower and what they've done, and that you're going to see, okay, you are going to go train with, if you're a male channeler, you're going to go train with the Black Tower. And if you're not a male channeler and you're a male progeny, you're going to go train with the warders of the White Tower, along with your sisters, who will automatically go to train at the White Tower, whether they can channel or not. I think you're going to have that continued relationship. Now, what that means then, coming to their long lives from being channelers, then you get into, at what point does Elaine, who is long lived, hand over to her daughter heir?
Term limits. I think she's going to enact. I think they're going to, because again, going back to Aviendha's visions, both Elaine's granddaughter and Aviendha's granddaughter had that exchange. And Elaine's granddaughter was the Queen of Andor, which means Elaine's daughter at one point was the Queen of Andor, unless something happened to her and she died young or something, right? So I think because they're going to realize that then that kind of turns into a possibly could be looked at as a tyrannical sort of thing if somebody has power for too long. Right.
So they'll have like a ceremony.
I do think that there'd be some sort of thing like after a natural lifespan.
Yeah,
like an abdication.
Like an abdication.
70 years or something, maybe.
Or something, right?
So what was that chapter? It was like chapter 47 or 48 in A Crown of Swords. It was called The Irrevocable Words. So she would, what Morghese said, when she abdicated, they would have like a ceremony or something like that.
Right. I think that's going to become the rule of thumb as long as a channeler is daughter heir. Because if you remember, Elaine's the first openly Aes Sedai queen of any country in over 1,000 years, right?
I can see Elena's family actually doing that in the Andoran court.
Well, so I do see I see that being some sort of like a term limit on how long you can be in power.
Yeah, I like that.
And
definitely, that's awesome.
And I think that's
the only way you could fix that. Actually, that is that's
well, and it also legitimizes the Black Tower because this is the powerful ruler of a known country who is advocating for them. Let me ask you: would Andor have a Black Tower Aes Sedai advisor?
Sure.
I mean, I think some countries would have both. Some countries would have one or the other.
Don't forget, Andor also has the kin.
Yeah, Andor has the kin.
Andor also has the kin.
They have the kin too.
And I think that's another question is like, what if somebody...
Oh my God, how many powerful children are going to come out of them? Because they can get married now.
Or how many people who can channel don't want to be Aes Sedai and don't want to be Ashaman. They just want to live their lives and just learn how to channel safely and go about and have their business. I mean, I think this is a whole nother topic. This is not talking about children, but you could do a whole series on fourth age theorizing for sure.
Right. Just mildly magical people all over the place.
I mean,
they're kind of doing that in the show.
It's going to normalize channeling, right? It's just going to normalize channeling.
Yeah,
make it.
So will timeout in high school? Will timeout be the Adam?
No.
You just go and sit in the corner and put the collar on.
You
can't move. You can't move until you unhook them.
It'll be fork root, man.
You just have that bracelet sitting on a peg up on the wall. You're like, all right, put the collar on. They're like, God damn it. And they just sit there.
It'll totally be fork root.
Think about moving the collar. They get a little nauseous.
When they're kids, they can't stop their kids from channeling. What is happening there? Like,
they shield them. Well,
shield them.
You could shield your kids if you can channel, but if you can't,
will that be the new screen time?
Shielding?
It's like you only have a half hour with the one power, and then mommy's taking the tablet.
See, but the thing is though, like the IEL, when people go to train, and the sea folk as well, channeling is not everything, right? They discourage you from using channeling and actually the novices as well. You're discouraged from using channeling for mundane tasks. So I think that if you have daycares, like you said, or special schools for people who can channel, that's something that will be taught from a young age. You don't abuse your power, and you're of course going to have your megalomaniacs and your crazy people who decide that they're going to go around and reap havoc on the world. And then maybe that's where like the Red Aja now comes in. Maybe they become the police force to clean up the bad apples that are channelers.
Guys, there's even a crop. All right, so it is a hidden gospel, one that was considered to be blasphemous, but it's the Gospel of Thomas, in which it talks about the boy Jesus as a 7th grader, and guess what? He kills a kid because a kid makes fun of him, and he also makes a guy bald. He like touches his head, and all his hair falls out.
Right. This
is what I'm saying is going to happen unless we have some sort of institution that is going to.
Well, in the age of legend,
I'm not going to say discipline, but gosh, you're going to have magic. You're going to have magic kids, man.
Rand told Avienda, when they had the magic, super shower, that they were back in the age of legends. They were taught from a very early age. So I'm getting
Jedi Temple vibes. That's what I'm.
Yeah, me too. I am. That's
right,
exactly
and also the White Tower. If we look at the younglings as being novices, a Padawan is being accepted, but with a mentor, and then you get boosted up to Jedi. That means you get the ring.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do on the show about this, about how they do the politics and hierarchies in the White Tower and things like that. I'm interested to see how they do that. It's going to be different than the books, I believe.
Yeah,
it's going to be all Leandrin or no Leandrin. Leandrin's going to be the linchpin for everything, and rightfully so. She's a wonderful, expressive villain.
Can we talk about Nynaeve and Lan's kids real quick?
Yes.
Oh yeah, like as I used to be.
3 of them.
I used to work in mental health, and I would say, "Hey, that's job security."
Nice.
I'd look at some people in the grocery store and be like, "Yep, job security."
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my goodness!
All right, Beth, so what did
you
want to say, Beth? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say that I think that Nynaeve and Lan, besides Faile and Perrin, are going to be the best parents of all of the progeny of. Lan is going to love his children like nobody's business, and Nynaeve is going to love her kids because Lan loves her kids so much, and she loves Lan so much. I don't think Nynaeve is going to be a natural mom. I don't think it's going to come easy for her, but I think she's going to find it to be one of the most rewarding experiences of her life.
Her girls are going to be like doctors by the time they're 10.
Right.
I think the first 2 will just have a hard life, and then she'll figure it out after that.
And I believe their son's going to be a hell of a swordsman.
I mean, I personally think that Nynaeve becomes the Merlin seat later on after Lan passes away, because he's going to live a normal lifespan, and I think she's going to eventually become the leader of the Aes Sedai. That's my opinion. But as a parent, I think she's going to I think you'd see as much as you see Nynaeve grow in the books. I think her growth as a parent would be even more so than what you saw from her, because I think she even though she goes after the kids, right, in the books, to save them, she is not a parent to them. She's like an older sibling to them. To be able to pour her love into her children, a life she never thought she'd have as a wisdom. She was never going to marry. She was never going to have children. And then to, have this fantastic love story happen. I see her really loving what she has, and her kids are going to be powerful, but I think Lan is going to teach them humility.
Absolutely. I believe that.
And realism.
I do think Nynaeve, though. I think Nynaeve is going to be the most respected Aes Sedai in the Black Tower. I think she's going to heal them all. I think that because she can heal madness.
From madness, or teach people to do it, right?
Yeah, and I also think she may lead an expedition to the Isle of Madness as well.
Yes, I am a proponent of this one. And it might be after she's had some time with her kids and help bringing up Malkier, like bringing it back, and after that, and
there's a whole continent of crazy people.
Yeah, and if she does teach it to Damer, people like Damer Flynn who are male channelers, and they can work together and go there, then she's lived long enough. She's this very strong channeler, so she's going to live a long time. And if she's not bound by the rod during a long period of that time, then that just extends her life. So she'd be free to go and do that.
Saying that Lan being alive and calling that being bound by the rod, I think is really inappropriate.
Ryan and I had done a skit where we had imagined Lan and Nynaeve going to a parent-teacher conference. And we had Lan being the Zen. Nynaeve could not handle that her kid was not getting was failing, and she kept gripping her braid and saying angry, and Lan was just like, no dear, it's okay. And Lan was the chillest guy, and he's like, oh, we just gotta encourage her to do her homework more and stuff. But I kind of think that's how Nynaeve would be. Nynaeve would not be the fun mom that you run into in a parking lot when you're dropping your kids off at school. She's the one who would be like, hey, you know what? I need to talk to you about about whatever. I don't. Yeah, and we're talking. I don't think. But I mean, that's just advocating for her kids, but just too strongly.
I know, but also like Lan's life lesson, like little Johnny is gonna like wound his knee. And he's gonna run up to Lan, and Lan's gonna be like,
Nynaeve is the classroom mom and the president.
When I was a baby, I got a sword
and running for school board. That's who Nynaeve is.
There's there's some other kids we're not talking about who may be pretty awesome as well. Moraine and Tom.
I think she's a little old to have babies.
I don't think so.
Too old. I don't think so. She's 42.
I think Tom's blowing dust out of his cock.
She's a channeler, which means that her ovaries will.
I think. Hey, I'm sure Tom's libido is still up there. I think they're gonna have at least one.
I don't think they have kids.
Okay, well let's imagine they do.
I don't think Moraine wants kids, to be honest.
She got her take of 5 kids all at one time, and she's.
I think Tom wants kids more than anything in the world.
Ooh. All right. Okay.
Moraine would be like, I'd rather go to the Tower of Genji again.
I think that Moraine would be a restless mother, and there's nothing worse than a restless mother. I'm telling you, like, you need a mom who's like, okay, this is where I want to be from here till dawn eternal, and a restless mom is like causes instability in a child. I don't think Maureen would be able to sit down and like raise that child for 18 years.
I think Maureen and Tom travel the world as a gleeman.
Yeah, I think they
and his
travel
wife,
together.
and they just travel together. And Maureen lives free, and they don't. I don't think they have kids.
Well, even if
what causes her? Like the cause is raising
the kid, and maybe Tom is the primary caregiver.
Well, I think that they would just. I think they would be hanging out with their cousin in Tyr.
Oh, with Caroline.
Oh,
and Darlin's is there.
Spend some time in Tyr with.
They are gonna. I mean, Caroline. They are getting married. We know that.
Yeah, they could spend some time there.
Can and Aes Sedai retire? Do we hear that they ever give up their position?
Yeah, they can go to the kin.
It's proposed, but Cadsuane becomes the Emerald. So if all of the Egwene's
but Cadsuane retired like 3 times already. So.
Right.
Yeah,
so
I think that Cerelia, with her knowledge and the Wise One's knowledge of Egwene and Cerelia's friendship with Cadsuane, I think Cadsuane will keep a lot of Elaine's mandates and things that she did. I think that Cadsuane throughout the book, she grew too, in a lot of weird different ways. And one of those things was accepting people that could channel that weren't Aes Sedai and understanding, the value that they had. She did with Talene, she did with a lot of, even with Olivia, she realized their value. And I think that with her hearing from Cerelia that Egwene had much honor and she was much respected by someone who Cadsuane respected so much, and respects, I think that she'll keep some of Egwene's tradition.
Well, don't forget the impact that Egwene had on the sitters.
Yes,
don't forget.
And hitherto, right? like vis-a-vis onto Cadsuane, in a sense, like a child changed like one of the oldest Aes Sedai alive. Hey, we got to start wrapping up, but I want to touch on one last subject before we go. I want everyone to dig deep into your stomach, your heart, your soul, your mind. Look in your experiences and tell me what did you gain from reading the books that helped you as a parent? Was there a character that you related to, or was there messages that you gained from the books that helped you become a better parent?
I can start with this.
Yeah, go for it, Jim.
So, having lost children, having a child who has some disabilities, and also having adopted children, I relate very, very, very much with Tam. Extremely, a lot with Tam. And, when you care and you show tenderness to a child, you can see the difference in what they become, as opposed to other children that you see that don't have that gift. It is so important to, nurture the little micro people that we are in charge of. And because the things we say, the things we do to them, and the things we show them, it matters so much in their lives, and they remember these things. And, Ran remembered and even told Min he was raised better this time. Tam was the main part of how, so Tam essentially helped in a real way save the entire world, by nurturing his son.
Amazing. Yep. Beautiful. Who wants to go next?
What, after that?
I know, right?
Dana Lou, do you want to go next?
Everyone's story is amazing.
Okay.
Well, all right. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I read the books for the first time. I started reading them when I was a teenager, well before I had children. But looking back and thinking, so I have a 20. My son is, oh my God, he'll be 27 this year.
Wow.
I know, it's weird, huh?
My son is 27, and I have a daughter who'll be 22 next month. So I was a single mom for most of the time that I raised my kids. And I would say my parenting style is probably very similar to more gays, honestly, like firm but fair. And I always had the brush yourself, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and you're stronger than you think you are, and you don't give yourself enough credit. And I feel like that was very much more Gaze's parenting. She was also a single parent, and was very accepting of her children, but wanted them to see the potential that she saw in them. And I think that is pretty similar to how I've raised my kids. My son is special needs. He's on the spectrum. He is a member of the LGBTQIA community. He is has definitely had some struggles in his life, but he is really making strides. He is a junior in college this year. He is his degree in special education.
God, we got so much in common, Mama.
And he's, I mean, I'm super proud of him. And he struggled a lot. And sometimes you just have to be your children's biggest fan, but you also have to be their biggest kick in the butt, right? Like you can't always rescue your children, and sometimes you have to let them flounder or I don't know if you like struggle. You have to let them struggle unless it's a life and death situation. I love you. I will talk to you. I will give you advice, but I'm not bailing you out anymore. I feel like that's kind of how more Gaze, when she abdicated her throne and she went into hiding, that's kind of what she did to Elaine and Gawain as well. Unfortunately, I think that was detrimental to Gawain, because that was what motivated his hatred of Rand, was thinking that his mother was killed by him. But so long story short, Morghese was flawed, but she did the best she could. And she always tried to do everything she did. She tried to do to be, to do the best for her kids. Absolutely. And I can honestly say, looking back, I haven't always made the right decision, but I don't regret a decision I made, because I was always motivated to make my kids' lives better, to do best for my children. Absolutely. So I don't have any regrets. I do have some things that I would change, hindsight being 2020, but I don't regret any of the decisions that I made when it came to parenting my kids.
Beautiful.
So
Thank you, Beth.
I will. I'll go. I will say that what I take from this is the legacy aspect, I suppose. The idea, like the old Linnies, the flame in the void, the sword form type thing. The thing that, like, if my children are adults now, and they come back all the time, and I feel like this is like what Tam and Karri kind of wanted on their farm, was a big family where there was a bunch of generations or something. They would just come back and hang out on the farm, and so like I had a couple of kids home from college this weekend, and it was just wonderful. So I like to think that, like, I can't be with them all the time, like most of the time now, but I still like to think that they will think, oh, my dad would think this, or this is what dad would do, or something along those lines, that I am my own kid's little Tam Alfor in their head.
You are, Dan. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I think you're much bigger. You're 6'5", so you're not a little, you're not a little Tam in their minds.
Well, I don't make apple brandy.
Gigantic. You are a little large.
Dana, did you come up with one?
This is really tough, because I don't think I consciously did anything according to the books. I mean, I think I didn't read them as deeply until I joined the community. I started reading in 1992, but I didn't really think about the books very deeply until I joined the community after in 2019. So I wasn't one of those people who was like, you know, delving into the books and thinking about all the characters and stuff. However, later in life, I started realizing that I was quite a bit like Nynaeve. And Nynaeve, one of the things I love about her the most is that she would do anything for those kids. She would do anything for Rand. And I feel like that is a lot of the way that I, as a single mom, you know, raised my kids and did everything for them. I was mom, I was dad, if they need, you know, if I would do anything to help them do what they wanted to do, what they needed to do. And also, you know, I think Nynaeve, even back in the village, would try to instill like certain principles in all of the young people. Now, whether she should have been thumping them with a stick or not, you know, boxing their ears is another issue we won't get into, how she went about that. However, I think she tried to instill certain standards in them, and I felt like I very much did that, and very much did the you know, I am I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to let you know that I might not be happy with the choice you made here, but I still love you regardless. I know 100% love you, and you know that I love you. And I feel like they always knew that she cared about them. And that I think she'll go on to be the same way as a parent, where she will like instill certain values and might be strict in certain ways, which I was. However, my children always knew, regardless, I might not be happy with you at the moment, but I will always love you. And I expect high things from you, because I think you're capable of high things. I think you're capable a lot, so I expect a lot from you. But when I turn you out into the world, it's your life, and I'm gonna, you know, and I will help you in what way I can, but it's your life, and my dreams for you have no bearing on what your dreams for yourself are. And I kind of think that Nynaeve was that way with the young people, in that she tried to help them in the way that they were the choices they were making for their own lives, and be the support that she could when she could, especially Rand. So I kind of feel like as the later books went on, I began to identify with her more, and I'm a bit like that.
You know, you being our very first friend in this community, Ryan and I have experienced where we have felt that you have not always liked the choices we've made, but you've always loved us.
And I'm going to
Ryan fell out.
It's 100% true. And from the very beginning, I said, I will tell you the truth. Now, I don't expect you to do what I think you should do. I will tell you why I think this way or that way about what you've done. But it's your life, it's your show, it's your whatever. and I've always
just like, but you're capable of better, right?
I love puppets. Do better, puppets.
Zool, I mean, we came in with little polish and a whole lot of bravado, and we're like, hi. And Zool's like, all right, tone it down, and here's how to do this. Here's how to navigate this. And boy, it sure was a needed crash course in how to navigate this community, man.
Hilarious.
I'd like to leave with one honorable mention.
Please.
Well,
I sure would. Sorry, go ahead.
Ryan didn't get to say his piece.
No, yeah, which is fine. But
go, Ryan, go.
Well, do you have time, Jensen? Because you can leave and I can just finish up.
I got like 5 minutes.
All right, I'll be quick. Yeah, so as you guys know, I've famously married KayK, and
who?
Who? Yeah. And I am married into a wonderful, intact family with a disabled daughter who is nonverbal autistic with a seizure disorder. And so I am learning a lot. I knew I needed this in my life as a source of meaning, and it's a lot of things going on with that. But what I learned is the difference between like sacrifice and serving.
I love that.
And I have a daughter who is gonna need 24-hour care for the rest of her life. We call her our forever baby. And you know, different challenges than you guys have for sure.
Yeah.
But similar in that it challenges your core, and it calls out the best in me all the time. And by best,
oh my God, you're gonna make me cry, Ryan.
I'm trying not to cry right now. I've been like, I was thinking like, how am I going to talk about this without crying? But yeah, it's the most meaningful thing in my life. And my little daughter's named Layla, and she's 14. And just today we walked to the store and we bought donuts together, and she knows where the store is. A lot of things are amazing. She's learning to sign more, and she's just blossoming and developing so greatly. So yeah, I am. I'm a male naive. I'm a worry. I like what I've learned about being a parent is that I have worry in my love. Like worry is just a part of my love. How I love is
it never goes away, man.
No,
right? It's crazy, and then I get tired because I've just been worrying for 23 hours a day. I just want 1 hour of not worrying, and it's not there. And I'm learning to embrace that and kind of find peace in that. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Tiffany. Yeah, we are amazing, and it's been the most amazing choice. It's the best choice I've ever made in my life to be a
love that.
Yeah,
love that so much.
Nice. Thank you, guys.
Well, and you probably understood them when the warders were trying to explain to Nynaeve. They're like, no, this isn't an obligation. This is an honor. This is something that we get to do for this person.
Yeah, it is an honor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Service is an honor. Yeah.
Yeah. I've always wanted to be in service for my life. Like
we are all Aes Sedai.
Right. Right. Let's say thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
We can end with that. Hey,
one quick honorable mention. I would have loved to seen Bale and Lywin's kids too.
Oh,
yes.
And Lywin shipless. Yeah.
I love them. If you didn't notice, I love.
I did notice.
Bail Doman do be a distant ancestor of mine. I mean, a distant relative of mine.
I love that. Yeah,
Is that where the Beth? You put the B back in Beth?
Yes, 100%.
The doobie. Doobie.
I do be. I do be.
Doobie.
I mean, I do be Beth Doman.
Okay, guys.
This has been great.
Yeah,
it's been
awesome.
And there are not a lot of parents in the people I interact with in our online community. I think maybe a lot of people who just have the time to interact a lot just aren't parents. And so it's great when we can get together as parents and compare notes.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
That's why we have a schedule.
And I love you guys for sharing all your these stories. You guys have been awesome. I love talking parenting. I think it's a fun aspect to look at within the Wheel of Time and to speculate on into the future. And you guys are the best people to talk to with it. I'm really glad that you are available. Thank you so much.
Right on. I got to go do some parenting.
Yeah, exactly. Hey everyone, run for your lives. This is the way to leave.
Bye. Thanks, Zool.